Hello and welcome aviators and aviation enthusiasts to this week's edition of Flying Friday. My name is Fatima, founder of Sakikama Foundation and qualified pilot. This week we are joined by Arnold. He is the latest qualified, as fresh as last night. He qualified with his commercial pilot license at none other than the Great 43 Air School. Arnold, welcome. Firstly, congratulations and welcome to this week's edition of Flying Friday. Take us through your training process.
Gosh, the flying training on my side, Fatima, it was quite a challenge to say the least. I initially did my PPL at Morningstar Flight Academy in Cape Town. That was the 45 hours, so it's the basics we cover in flying training, from effective control, straight and level flying, being able to fly an aircraft in a straight line or in a turn, climbing and descending stalls, etc. So that was quite exciting to do the 45 hours in picturesque, scenic Cape Town. Once I'd wrapped up my PPL, I then commenced with my flight training in Port Alfred at 43 Air School, and those were just, the initial flights were 4 flights, was a recap of the PPL, and thereafter I did the 100 hours, or the command module as we term it, the hour building, where you gain experience doing navigation flights. Some are short, some are much longer, and most, if not all of them, are solo flying, that you would gain this experience. Once that was done, I then did the night rating phase, and that's very much geared towards getting your mind into the mindset of flying on instruments and relying on your flight instruments. It's a very, very different and a very new and exciting phase of the flight training. Once that was completed, the night rating was completed and added to my license, I then commenced with a more, I would say, refined process of instrument flying, and that's the loft scenarios or line-orientated flight training in the simulator. And that's very much getting you into the frame of mind of all-weather operations as an instrument-rated pilot. And that's a very, very important phase in a pilot's career. So all in all, 200 hours roughly to become a commercial pilot, having started with your private pilot's license or your PPL, all the way up to commercial pilot's license. It's about 200 hours of flight training. And you've got exams to write as well, 10 exams in total. So all of these come together into your final flight test, a ground evaluation, and they all culminate into you becoming a commercial pilot license as the regulations require.
That's great, Arnold. Thank you so much. Tell us a bit about the challenges that you faced during your training.
What I found most challenging was definitely being a cadet at 43 Air School. I was very fortunate to be taken on. My first year as a cadet was very much geared and focused on my initial training in becoming an air traffic controller at 43 Air School. So that was the AFIS course we went through, approximately 3 months, having done the PPL in Cape Town. So it was very much an accelerated process. I went through the initial 3 months, and once those had completed, I then moved on to my commercial pilot's license exams. Those are 10 exams in total. Whilst working in Tower as a full-time staff member, I also was finishing my exams. So trying to juggle and adapt and find the time, or make the time, shall I say, to finish the exams as well as work the duties or the shifts that we require in Tower. It felt that's a very, very heavy responsibility. So time management, task management definitely was important, and also taking care of yourself. That you sometimes feel guilty of, taking care of yourself, but pacing yourself, because this is very much a marathon, it's not a sprint. So I found juggling those different responsibilities was quite a challenge, but it's not impossible if you've got a plan. You stick to your plan, and your plan might have to change or amend, but do so along the way, and as long as you work hard and put the effort in, you'll be fine.
And what is the thing that, everybody talks about, the landing and the takeoff, but tell us, what did you enjoy the most about your training?
What I enjoyed most about the flight training, I think not just flight training, but the training overall. That's the ground phase as well as the flying phase. I must say the lofts, or what we term line-orientated flight training, that's the aspect of your commercial pilot's license. It's an extremely stressful, very, very intensive phase of your building of your experience and In a way, it's shaping and molding you into the thinking and into becoming a commercial pilot. It was very, very challenging, very, very difficult. Good moments, bad moments, but when you put them all together, they all mesh and become a very, very well-rounded, rich experience that you will have gone through. And it was the most challenging, but it was also the most rewarding experience. Being able to fly on instruments, flying through really, really tough conditions in terms of the weather in the simulator. But then when you're coming up on final and you look up and you've got the runway in sight, you've got the poppies on either end or the approach lights, and you're coming in with your aircraft, approach stable all the way down. It's a very, very rewarding feeling. So really an amazing experience. I enjoyed that.
Arnold, now that you are a qualified commercial pilot, what does this mean for you and what are your plans for the future?
Plans for the future, definitely the long goal is to become an airline pilot, captain. That's the long-term goal at this point, preferably for a major carrier. And I would love to fly internationally and domestically. I really don't have a major preference, but definitely for an international carrier, long haul or short haul. For the short term, I would love to do my flight instructor's rating, become a flight instructor, and pass on my experience and knowledge to the new students that are coming up. I've learnt a lot, made mistakes here and there, and I would love to give some guidance and input into the next generation of pilots and aviators, whether they become pilots or air traffic controllers or engineers or what have you. Just from an aviation aspect, giving that sense of that experience, passing it on, because what's experience when you keep it to yourself? You have to share it, and you have to share the knowledge. So that's my short to long-term goal for the future.
Arnold, that is an amazing vision that you have for yourself. Any words of advice to aspiring pilots?
Words of advice I would give, whether you are involved in aviation or any sphere of life, any career or any endeavor, I would say find what drives you. Find what is your love, what is your passion, what is it that gives you purpose in life every day to wake up, be it if your alarm goes off at 6 a.m. or whether it goes off at 3 a.m. Irrespective, what allows you to wake up at that time, and then perhaps burn the midnight oil as well. So yes, very important, find what you enjoy, because ultimately you're going to be spending the most time of your life and all your effort and energy, a large part of it, in that line of work. So that's a very, very important piece of advice I would give. The next is, be aware wherever you are in your phase of life, you're going to be doing certain tasks, or it's going to be a responsibility that's been given to you, where unfortunately you're going to have to do something or certain things work-wise that you might not enjoy. It might be for short term, it might be for a medium to long term, but understand that it's also part of the process, that you have to go through these difficulties or challenges in order to come out on the other side, look back and have a bit more perspective and appreciation for those you look up to and admire, because they've gone through the same process that you're currently in, or that you have yet to go through. So definitely find what you love doing, go through the difficult times and be appreciative of them, and when the good times come, when the sun shines, enjoy the sunshine, but know that the next phase is definitely going to be a bit of an autumn and a winter coming, so prepare for that as well. If you've got that and you've got that type of plan going forward, I don't think you can't go wrong in life.
Thank you so much, Arnold. And that's the wrap up for this week's edition of Flying Friday. We'll see you next week.